Week in review, September 4th, 2023. It's been a couple weeks since I've done one of these. Been traveling. Traveled last week. Traveled to Fort Bragg. So I'll cover that in a bit. But we'll start off with comments. At Jesse Patchak. What are your thoughts on a retest during the games? Repeat the first workout for the finale, but the finale is scored based on the delta. By the way, thanks again for the hat. It got me a new deadlift PR, 400 pounds. Congrats on the deadlift PR. I think that's a pretty cool idea. Retest during the games. So the first workout, the athletes do it, and then he's suggesting for the finale, repeat that workout. Interesting twist. We've never done that. Worth keeping in the back pocket. Thanks for the suggestion. At Model City CrossFit. The guest programmer for mainsite is really cool and engaging concept. I feel it helps inspire connection with the community to involve more people to contribute to our overall vision. How do affiliate owners get involved in guest programming on the main site? Cool. I'm glad you are enjoying it. I really like it too. I think it's a unique way to kind of freshen up what we're doing on the programming and give some other people an ability to get involved and kind of recreate some enthusiasm and attention to our programming and our main site programming. How do affiliate owners get involved? Email us. Well, email me and I'll link you up with the right people. And right now, I think we're going to try every 2-week cycle. So 2-week one-person programs, 2-week our team programs, then 2-week we have a guest programmer. The next guest programmer, as of right now, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Boz, and then we'll have someone from the community, I think, for the third one. But email if you're interested, and we have obviously, as you can imagine, a lot of people have expressed interest in doing this, so it's a matter of just getting through and figuring out how we're gonna select people to do it. At Jacob M.C. Dougal 59. I'd be very interested to hear your side on the 5K distance measurement debacle going around social media from the games. The post that circulated social media had mapped on Google and found total distance to be closer to 4.5K. My take is this is wrong as it's a 2D measurement and doesn't include the elevation changes like the wheel measurement. We wheeled it like multiple times with multiple wheels. We had 2 different wheels, and I think they wheeled it like 3 different times, so a total of 6 wheeled measurements, and all of those were pretty close. I actually have one, or pretty close, they were a 5K. I actually have one of the wheels on hand, and now I'm going to calibrate it. I'm going to walk around a 400 meter track with it and see how off it is or is not. I agree with you that the overhead models aren't necessarily, probably not as accurate. It definitely wasn't as short as 4.5. I think from the GPS, it was some with watches. I think it was like 4.7 or 8. I forget. But so people who used a watch, it was a little shorter, but our wheel measurements were on. So still more to come on that one. At the Chris 403, I'm curious about the location of the 2024 CrossFit Games. Even if you can't tell us the location, can you say when they will make the announcement? Thanks. We have a location. I was just there a couple weeks ago. We're working on the announcement. Hopefully, very soon we can announce it and get it out there to the world. I'm really excited about it, about the location. It's going to be a great home for the CrossFit Games. At the Ludwig 1. That international comp is what joined me in CrossFit originally. It was Rich and Dan Bailey for the US. I remember watching them with the Atlas Stone and Rich helping Dan get it. So that one was in Spain, Madrid, a number of years ago. Is the invitational, when we had the invitational, and the invitational was European athletes versus, well, it started off originally as Team USA versus Team World. And to go to the original idea of it is actually Reebok really pushed us and wanted us to run that event. And so working with them, we stood it up a number of years ago. And then it started off as Team USA versus Team World. Then as internationally CrossFit got more prominent and more athletes were coming from different countries, we increased it from Team USA to Team Europe to Team Australia, and and we had Team Canada. And so that event was in Madrid, and we used stones, and I do remember that. I remember Rich and Dan working through the stones. Actually, the history of the stones, there's a tight connection to that part of Europe. And so when we went out there for the event, after we got there, I basically told Bill, I'm like, hey, can we get some stones? And then Bill from Rogue. And then they scrambled to make some stones happen. And that's how we had stones at that event. It was really last minute request that they executed on. At Matt Souza, can I help you set up a mic? Audio can use an upgrade. Yes, you can help me set up a mic, and I agree, my audio probably can use an upgrade because all I'm using is this computer. At Two Dog Outdoors, I think all 40 athletes in a basketball knockout game would be extremely entertaining to watch and reward athleticism. It would reward athleticism. It would reward those who have a long history in basketball or who practice a lot or who play a lot, and it necessarily wouldn't be a test of fitness. It'd be a great spectacle. It'd be really fun to do, but not appropriate as a test in the CrossFit Games. That also goes for stuff like shooting. I don't think shooting or archery, stuff like that, should ever be in the games, because where there's skill and where there's in archery more athleticism typically than in shooting, there isn't really a fitness component. So on that, I've seen 3 people in the last couple years blow their Achilles playing basketball. One was a friend playing basketball, Esteban, here at the ranch, one-on-one. He drove on me and he went down and he said, who hit me in the back? And I'm like, dude, you just blew your Achilles. And so he's like, no, I didn't. Someone hit me. And so I call up Dr. Sean Rocket, get him on FaceTime, and ask Esteban to explain to him what happened. And he told him, and he's like, yep, you blew your Achilles. Second one was during the street parking event. We had a massive knockout game going, and we advanced to a final round. And Jimmy Letchford, who's a good friend, and now he's the president of Go Ruck, he took a shot, and it was an air ball. And our rule in knockout when we play during air balls is you have to go get the ball and you come back to the line. Well, since it was an air ball, he had to sprint to get his ball, and he sprinted forward, and as soon as he sprinted forward, he went down to the ground. Same thing, rolled back and said, who tripped me, who hit me? And I was like, dude, same thing, you blew your Achilles. People who were right behind him, I was like 6 or 7 people behind him, they said they actually heard an audible pop. Horrible, both of those were horrible moments. And then this year at the CrossFit Games, we had our annual knockout game at the end of the games, where staff play knockout for a trophy that we give every year. And we finished the round. We finished 5 rounds. We do 5 rounds scored from different distances. And I remember before finishing, let me back up. On the final round, we had one last round, and the group in the back, I was telling them the story of Jimmy blowing his Achilles on knockout. And we finish, and then we're just shooting around. Everyone's just doing their thing. There wasn't a big spectacle or anything at this point, but I see Dr. Sean Rocket and another guy showing up. And I'm like, what are they doing here? And some people point to Chuck. And I look over, and Chuck's sitting there with his head down, Chuck Carswell, our head judge. And on the last round, he blew his Achilles underneath the rim. I don't know what happened, but he just came down, his Achilles was ruptured, and then quietly walked off the floor. And so none of us knew what was going on until like 20 minutes later, and the doc showed up. So this year, Chuck Carswell blew his Achilles playing knockout. So horrible way to end that. It's such a fun game. Horrible way to end that at the games this year. It put me in a shitty headspace for the rest of the end of that event and going into the after party. And then Chuck was a trooper. He actually came down to the after party in a boot, and he's had Dr. Sean Rocket did a did his surgery, and he's in recovery right now. So, tangent from your statement about doing knockout at the games, just into how many Achilles I've seen blown playing basketball and knockout. So I take it really easy now when I play knockout. One-on-one, I don't play really much anymore. I was playing in one-on-one with my cousin a lot, and my nephew here at the ranch. And on one of the games, I drove in and felt a little pain in my Achilles. I didn't blow it, but I felt something. And for weeks on end, it was sore and it was not good. So after that, I stopped playing for about 3 months. This was around COVID. 3 months of recovery, I felt fine. We started playing again, and then the same thing happened. So then I haven't played since. I don't want to blow my Achilles playing basketball. I don't want to blow up playing knockout either. All right, that was too much of a rant on that. At Jaws Bullyvoo 1606, will you be at the Rogue Invitational? And if so, how can we meet you there? I will be in Austin that week. I might come around for some of the event, some of the stuff going on prior on Friday. I'll try to go for the morning, but I have to fly to Virginia Beach for some Navy stuff that day, so I probably won't be around all weekend. I am planning on going to this weekend's NorCal Classic near Sacramento. I don't know what day yet, probably Saturday afternoon. I'll pop in and show Blair Morrison and those guys support. So if you see me there, say hello. At Judy Yudkin 3183. Hi Dave, any updates on the olive oil release to the public? Getting close, working on it. Hopefully I'll have some to sell at the Invitational at Rogue's booth, but I'm standing up a website, working on that, and hopefully definitely going to release it before the holidays, but hopefully around the Invitational. Did a lot of comments today. One more. Dave, or at Tom RNH. Dave, I'd love to hear your programming thoughts about how many modern gyms and programming methods change to almost always having weightlifting and then a metcon versus separating heavy days on their own. Basically now jamming what my belief is too much into an hour and too much for your average CrossFitter. I 100% agree. I believe that cramming the heavy days in with, call it your metcon, or I say CrossFit workouts, is too much for an hour, and a couple reasons why. One, the heavy days and what you get from that should be a dedicated hour session. You should warm up properly. You should take the necessary amount of time to rest in between lifts, to focus on the lifts, and then cool down properly. Same thing with the CrossFit workout. On those days, you should spend a lot of time prepping for it, focus on it, hit it hard, and then cool down and do what you need to after. I think a couple things. So you lose intensity when you have them together. People do that because they think they're getting more bang for their buck, and at this point, a lot of people think if they're not doing that, they're shorting their clients. It's also a way to fill in an hour without having to put a high premium on actually coaching and teaching some of the movements. Here's what I don't have a problem with, though. I'll say this. I don't have a problem if you put a lift in prior to the metcon where it's for refining technique or building technique, but not necessarily trying to get a 1 rep max, trying to go at 90% of your lift. So let's say we're going to do Fran 21-15-9 thrusters and pull-ups, but prior to that there's some squat clean work up to like 50 or 60%, refining the technique. That actually, by doing the squat clean, is actually warming you up for the thruster, and also just retraining the movement pattern. So doing technique prior to the workout within a class is fine, in my opinion. I think doing the heavy volume or just like doing a heavy day and then the CrossFit workout is too much. I also contend it probably, for the average CrossFitter, for even new people coming in, it's what potentially can lead to burnout and overtraining in a faster way, because they're doing so much, and a lot of people only come in that way, and it's a lot of volume, it's a lot on them. So separate them, use that extra time you have, because you have extra time, to really focus on coaching, working on some skill development, and working on prepping for the actual CrossFit workout. So I agree with you. And there's like two camps. There's a lot of people who are on this old school kind of method, and then there's a lot of people who do the 2-a-days, and some even do more. Honestly, a lot of influence over the years from the games and the games athletes and how they train. The thing is, the big difference there is those athletes have several hours, usually the top guys, several hours to train throughout the day. Whereas in an hour, you don't have several hours. You have an hour as an average member. Craig Howard, I talked about his comment a few weeks ago on my last week in review. He reached out. He said he'd love to chat. Just because of my travel and timing, I haven't been able to. So we'll still follow up on that. I will have an update on when we talk about what his point was. Travel. So 2 weeks ago, I was at the new location. Last week, I went to Fort Bragg on Monday through Wednesday and met up with General Donahue, met up with another general, and met up with a few other people involved with this program. Really good trip. We put a small group of people through a workout on the first day. Then on the second day, we put 100 people from 18th Airborne Corps through a large workout. So great trip. That's going really well. Excited about the opportunity to do more with the Army and try to empower these soldiers with basic tools on how to move correctly and how to train themselves and each other. This last week or so, yesterday, 2 days ago, my daughter's on the cross country team for her high school, and the coach invited parents if they want to go run with their team on their long Saturday run. So I went with the team on Saturday, and they ran in Nicene Marks, which is in Santa Cruz. I've never ran in Nicene Marks, and it was a humbling experience. The cross country team is really good. I have not been running a lot at all in the past few months. I ran a lot earlier in January, in a November-January timeframe, and but they went for like 10 miles. Some of the boys actually went for 14 miles, but it was all uphill. 40 minutes in, we were briefed, go 50 minutes out and 50 minutes back. So they all took off and we stayed with them. 40 minutes in, we were all together, and then all of a sudden it got really steep, and these boys just took off, and my daughter actually took off, and it was cool. She's been on the team for about a month now, and over the summer we ran together, and then I have not ran with her since she's been on the team, and she now is officially faster than me. She had to wait for me. We turned around and we ran back, and we ran a total of 10 miles, and going from like minimal running to 10 miles was a horrible idea. So I'm really sore still after that, but I'm gonna start training and I'll get better and I'll be able to keep up with them. Maybe not keep up with them the entire time. I mean, one of the boys on the team, he ran a 16:30 5K at their meet I went to a few weeks ago. So I was happy with my running until the 40-minute mark, and then I was not happy with my running. I really fell behind. And finally, that programming effort that for the 2 weeks, thanks for all the notes and support on Instagram and the people who did it and really who gave me feedback and said they enjoyed it and said it was a fun way to break up, their own training. I really enjoyed it. I wish I was able to do all of the 2 weeks, but in the middle of it, I had multiple trips come up, and on the road, it's sometimes hard to do that style of programming. So I did not finish probably the last 4 or 5 workouts, but looking forward to expanding that and having more people contribute. All right, that's it. If you have any comments, put them in on the comment section. Thanks a lot.